Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. We first wanted to take a minute just to recognize that times are obviously extremely challenging right now for us in all of our roles as parents, employees, and employers. We appreciate you so much for being here with us, and we're so grateful that we can continue to provide education during this time. There will be some more information at the end of this webinar about resources available to you to support you through this challenging time. My name is Katie. I'm the program coordinator here at HealthLinks. And today we will obviously be talking about creating a family-friendly workplace, which seems more important now than ever. So thank you all so much for being a part of this. First wanted to tell you just a little bit more about who we are. So HealthLinks is a mentoring program that champions health and safety at work. We offer evidence-based healthy workplace certification and advising to help organizations achieve total worker health. As a nonprofit, we are based at the Center for Health, Work, and Environment at the Colorado School of Public Health. For those of you who are already in our HealthLinks network, you'll be familiar with our HealthLinks benchmarks. These are the areas that we assess and advise on. And I just wanted to point out today that our webinar on family-friendly workplaces falls under this health programs and policies benchmark. Quick agenda for you today. We will be hearing from David Shapiro for the presentation. And I'm so excited to have with us representatives from Kendra Scott and Turning the Corner to have in our panel discussion. After we're done with that, we will have some time for Q&A and then a quick closing. Just some general housekeeping for you all. All participants will be kept on mute throughout the duration of the presentation. Please use the chat function for any technical issues, and I'm happy to help you with those. If you have a question, please use the Q&A box. This is either for the speaker or the panelists or just some general questions about Family Friendly. You can use that Q&A box. We'll be addressing those at the end. Also wanted to let you know this webinar is being recorded. I will be uploading it to YouTube after this, and we'll send you all the link to that in a follow-up email that you'll receive later this week. There is also a survey at the end of this webinar. We would love for you to take a minute to complete this. And then, as hopefully you all know, SHRM and CHES credits are available. Again, information about how to claim those will be going out in that follow-up email as well. All right, I'm very excited to introduce to you today our speaker, David Shapiro, who is the program manager at HealthLinks. In this role, he consults with organizations in the Healthy Workplace Network, sharing resources and recommendations to help them improve the health and safety of their teams. Prior to joining the center, David served as the business relations manager for EPIC, Executives Partnering to Invest in Children, where he helped the organization grow from 10 founding members to over 75 executives focused on Colorado's investment in early childhood. David's past work experience also includes a successful sales career in Colorado's ski industry and founding Mountain Dads, a fatherhood initiative in Summit County government's Youth and Family Services Division. A proud husband and father of 3, David is a lifelong learner and relationship builder. His hobbies include tennis, hiking, reading, and gardening. All right, David, I'll go ahead and pass it on to you.
Hi, Katie, and everyone, thank you for joining us today. As Katie mentioned from the outset, we know that today's environment is challenging, and we think the family-friendly conversation is really relevant. There will be an opportunity for some Q&A at the end of the presentation with our panelists and with me. Know that we're all dealing with the current reality in different ways and handling family responsibilities as best we can. The most important thing is to keep healthy and safe and to do whatever you can to support your family. This presentation obviously has been built over the past several years, and we're going to talk about some concepts of being a family-friendly organization that are relevant and also may be in flux in today's environment. So I just want to acknowledge that from the outset. The first thing we want to do is define a family-friendly workplace. So families are changing dramatically over the past 50 years, but their importance to society really has not. The family is a unit where we provide and receive financial and emotional support. And 50 years ago, more than half of American children were growing up with married parents, a father employed full-time, and a mother who was not in the workforce. And today, only 1 in 5 children or so live in that type of family. Women have entered the labor force in ever-growing numbers, and families increasingly rely on more than one earner to make ends meet. Oftentimes, a parent or caregiver may have to choose between their work responsibilities and responding to the needs of their dependents. We know that given today's situation of people working remotely, there's a lot of demands being placed on families. And so as you work from home, something to consider that work demands, how you're going to balance work demands and the needs of caregiving are really something that everybody is struggling with. And hopefully your company is helping you out on figuring out how to manage those responsibilities. The workforce is constantly evolving. Diversity and inclusion is very important. And we have to understand that employees are multidimensional. They have personal lives, family responsibilities, competing demands on their time and attention. Over the past 50 years, gender norms have changed, and fathers are increasingly taking on the role of primary caregiver. Same-sex couples are more common. In the past 25 years, the number of families with a stay-at-home father and a working mother has doubled. And 1 in 5 same-sex couples are raising a child as well. So family-friendly workplace policies and practice when it comes to parents have really been part of the overall movement for diversity and inclusion in the workplace. Now more than ever, family-friendly workplaces are really a critical component to a high-functioning society. The modern workplace has changed dramatically in the past few weeks, and the modern family has changed as well. We also know that there are 4 generations in the workforce currently, each with its own unique characteristics and needs. And that's true for caregiving responsibilities as well. So the challenge for employers is to create an environment that appeals to a wide range of needs. Employers really play a critical role in the lives of their employees. After all, the average person spends almost 9 hours a day working. Now that is blended between working remotely, but in stress and economic securities are really risk factors for a number of physical and mental health related issues. And those sort of things come along with how you support different generations in the workplace. Family-friendly employers, what we know about them is that they consider the varying needs of all employees, regardless of what stage of life or what generation they're in. So I want you to just pause for a moment and think about the diverse caregiving needs of each of these generations and how it impacts your own workforce. The image in our minds often of a family-friendly workplace is for a new mom, maybe out on maternity leave. We have that situation in our workforce right now. We have a number of new parents or about to be expecting parents. And we also know that caregiving for elders is something that's really come up as important for the needs in our own workplace as well. And so know that the caregiving needs and responsibilities impact each of these generations a little bit differently. A family-friendly organization considers each of these generations and everyone that's in the workplace to support the caregiving needs of employees at all stages of life. I want to play a video for you of a company we've worked closely with over the past few years on Family Friendly. It's an outdoor camp for children and families. They're assessing their business model in the current environment, but want to hear a little bit of a description about how they define families in the current environment, holistically define families and how inclusive they are in that definition.
At Avid4 Adventure, it's important for us to support a family-friendly workplace because we want that feeling that you get at home, the comfort and support that you have at home, to feel exactly that way when you're at work as well. We take a broad view of what quote-unquote family means, and really to us, family means your community, your loved ones, and that might mean that you have a kid at home and you have a partner at home. It might mean your your extended family community or just your community of friends. It might mean the pet that you have at home. And we want to be supportive of whatever your community is at your home. Regardless of full-time or seasonal staff, we recognize that being family-friendly means being supportive as a caregiver. And whether that's a caregiver for a child, a parent, a pet, we want to be family supportive by supporting those caregiving needs. At Avid Ford Adventure.
So first of all, I just want to acknowledge that holistic definition, caring for family members, whether they be children, parents, pets. Each person defines what the word family looks like a little bit differently. And family-friendly employers, as I mentioned before, really take a holistic view of how they're interacting with their employees and supportive of them and their caregiving needs. So we've been working on family-friendly workplace policies and practices since 2015. And in our research and in our presentations around the state, we've arrived at sort of a definition on what a family-friendly workplace is. And the key terms of the definition are bolded here for you. So we've already mentioned that family-friendly workplaces support employees in all stages of life. The elements that we want to think about in terms of supporting employees is what their life feels like at work, at home, which now those lines are completely blended, and also in their community. Right now, we're being told to not spend a lot of time out and in the community, and yet community is still a really important factor in terms of how organizations are defining and supporting employees that thrive. So we're going to pause right here on a slide where there's a few questions for you to think about, but also Katie's going to pull up a poll. So we have a question for you here. We want you to engage on the screen. Do you feel like your workplace supports all employees as caregivers? Now, ways that organizations do that are by addressing stigma, building awareness, and fostering a culture of compassion.
We still have quite a few answers coming in, so I'm just waiting a minute. All right.
This is great. So it looks like for those of you on the presentation today, more than half feel like your workplace is doing a good job supporting all employees as caregivers. You're addressing stigma, but that's to say that, there's about half of you on the call that are not sure or feel like your organization could do a little bit of a better job. So these are some questions we want you to consider as you go back to your workplace and think about being a family-friendly workplace. Is your organization defining the word family, and how is it doing that? Describe your workplace and think about how caregiving is impacting your workplace as well. Another concept that we've talked a lot about over the past few years is this idea of work-life balance. The prevailing language out there that you'll see in articles is a conversation around work-life balance. We've really discussed work-life integration, and you see some graphics here. The balance is the scale of work and life being on opposite ends of the scale there. That one, somehow in balance, they're supposed to be, aligned with one another, but really we have promoted more of the integration model. And I've said this, I know, a number of times already, but no time more important than the present of thinking about the integration of work and life. None of us really can balance what's currently going on in terms of the demands coming at us. We're going to have to put certain things on hold potentially when it comes to work. And family-friendly employers are thinking about how they integrate workplace demands and the demands that people have for family responsibilities. So we encourage you to think about whether or not you're using the term work-life balance. The other thing we've heard is that this idea that the modern adult can balance everything or juggle everything perfectly can actually be stressful. That image of maybe a new mom and on a career professional development track, and also being a great mom at home. This idea that you can balance all that effectively and not encounter or encumber a lot of stress is really difficult for people to handle in terms of the picture in their mind or the picture that media is portraying. So think more about the term integration and how these things flow into one another, more like the Venn diagram here, than that you have to balance everything or configure it all out. Another clarification we want to make here is when we're talking about family-friendly workplaces, we're looking over 4 domains. We have a family-friendly survey that HealthLinks has created that organizations take, and we break up the questions into these 4 categories. So there are 4 main sections in terms of the components of a family-friendly workplace: benefits and what sort of policies or benefits you offer your employees, flexibility, caregiving or how you approach caregivers, and then engagement, how you communicate or what leadership components you have for being a family-friendly workplace. So I just wanted to highlight these up there, that these are the 4 main benchmarks or components that we've discovered as most important for being a family-friendly workplace. So a little bit of discussion on value on investment, return on investment, and why family-friendly workplaces matter before we get more questions in time with our panel. There is a clear business case for being a family-friendly workplace. I have some of the things that we've captured over the past several years working on this project up on your screen, but really what we've heard from CEOs and executives that the secret to their success is finding the right people at the right time and helping them do their best work. Other executives say that they treat employees like family, earning their loyalty and dedication. And when you ask employees about working for a family-friendly employer, many say that they feel happy, healthy, and supported at their job. Research indicates that family-friendly workplace policies and practices result in increased productivity, improved loyalty and commitment, and resilient, happier, and healthier employees. The bottom line benefits to employers include improvements in the new hire process, less turnover, and lower absenteeism. So there are clear benefits to being a family-friendly workplace, things like improved health outcomes, a reduction in stress, and the other advantages that you see on the screen. These are all part of the business case. I want to talk to you a little bit about ROI or return on investment versus value on investment, because this comes up in the family-friendly conversation with CEOs and CFOs a lot. When organizations dedicate resources to things like benefits or specific policies to support employees, they want to make sure that it's worth it. There are a lot of different ways to evaluate family-friendly workplaces, but it can be difficult to equate the value of a policy or practice with the resources that you put into it. So there are 2 primary evaluation methods for comparing outputs against inputs. Return on investment, or ROI, is a popular business term used to describe the financial return received on any given financial investment. Basically, ROI refers to the amount of money a company makes as compared to the money that it's put into a particular business operation. This form of valuation is tangible. It's a money exchange. It's measurable. When it comes to family-friendly workplace policies, ROI often measures things as it relates to reduction in healthcare claims and costs, or reduce workers' compensation claims and costs, reduce disability claims and costs. Return on investment refers to savings received once an organization has invested in their employees. Now, value on investment is really a term increasingly popular in the family-friendly workplace conversation. VOI refers to the overall value received on a given financial investment. Basically, a VOI includes that financial return element, but it includes some more abstract values that an organization is going to receive. It's not as tangible, and it may not be as easy to measure as ROI, but many companies are using VOI, or it's the right thing to do, it's how our company operates, to evaluate their family-friendly workplace policies and practices. It really does incorporate the invaluable benefits of employee engagement and morale. Ultimately, both ROI and VOI can be great tools for evaluating your family-friendly workplace policy. VOI is a little bit more inclusive, although it can be a little bit more difficult to calculate. I want to hear from another organization that we've worked with a lot over the past few years about some return on investment benefits of being a family-friendly workplace. So this is Laura Love, CEO and founder of GroundFloor Media.
Being a family-friendly workplace for us is about creating a work-life blend. I've always said I don't believe in balance. I think it's impossible to attain. But what we try and do here is create policies and opportunities for people to meet them where they're at. Everyone is a human being first and foremost, and everyone has something different in their lives that we can hopefully accommodate and make their work life as positive, if not more positive, than their other parts of their life. GroundFloor Media and Center Table, we have historically had about a 4% attrition rate, and while that is amazing for us, it's even more amazing for our clients. It means that they get to spend more time with the same team members year over year. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. The first is we really try and design a workplace that is family friendly, whatever that family might look like, whether it's a single dad, a single mom, two parents who are both trying to hold down jobs and take care of multiple children, a same-sex couple. We even hire employees and team members who live out of town, and we try and accommodate them and meet them where they're at so they have a really, really rich life.
So as you can hear, what she mentioned from the outset is this retention benefit of being a family-friendly workplace. You all know the importance of attracting and retaining top talent. I know that that can be challenging, especially given potentially the changes in our workflow right now. But for clients, for customers, seeing the same face and participating in a business that is able to retain its employees, this is really an added benefit to being a family-friendly workplace. So we have a second poll here. We want you to list the top 3 reasons that your workplace is family friendly. So Katie, if you can pull up the second poll while we have this sort of questions on the screen for you as well.
Sorry, I'm going to try to relaunch the poll here really quick.
So what we want you to do here is look at these bullet points and choose 3.
Okay, we got some responses coming in here. I'll just give it a minute.
Yeah, let people take their time. You're going to choose the sort of top 3 benefits of being a family-friendly workplace in your mind. Remember, you can choose 3.
All right, looks like it's starting to slow down here a little bit. I'll go ahead and share the results.
Thank you, Katie, and thank you for all. Probably not surprising, especially given today's workplace and today's environment, that a reduction in employee stress is our top result for being a family-friendly workplace with 68%, followed by an increase in retention, which is also really important in today's day and age, and something we've really seen quite a bit of when someone has a caregiving event, making sure that you're in a family-friendly workplace so that they can come back to work or that they can work through the caregiving experience is important as well. So followed by improved health outcomes, or rather improved morale and improved health outcomes. Thank you all for participating in the poll. Some questions and things to think about that are along this line is, and to have conversations with leaders about when you're ready and poised to do that, is things like which benefits you may need to add to be a family-friendly workplace, which provide a return on investment, and which may provide a value on investment. Just going to mention one thing, this will come up again. We mentioned at the outset, and Katie will bring it up at the close of our webinar. We're going to start a town hall series from HealthLinks, and you'll get some more information about how to register for that. But this coming Monday, March 23rd, we're going to partner with Helper, a family support technology company, to talk about how to support working parents through COVID-19. So this is sort of an extension of our family-friendly workplace presentation today. I really appreciate everybody joining us. I will be back on for the Q&A with the panelists. Katie, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
All right, great. Thank you so much, David. We will go ahead and get started with our panel discussion. I am very excited to have with us today Kendra Prospero from Turning the Corner and Kelsey Sullivan and Marisol Dona from Kendra Scott. So thank you all so much for being here today. We're going to start by just, if you could just tell us a little bit about who you are and what your organization does, and how does being a family-friendly workplace align with your organization's core values. And Kendra, we'll start with you.
All right, excellent. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for having me, Katie and David. I know it takes a lot of work to get these things launched, so thank you on behalf of all of us, for creating this space. So my name is Kendra Prospero, and I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Turning the Corner. We're a small business, and I founded this business back in 2011 because I needed a family-friendly workplace, and I actually couldn't find it. And so I had recently had a baby. She was at that point 2 years old, but I was actively looking for work that was more flexible and just couldn't quite get it. And so through a series of events that were a little bit serendipitous, I ended up deciding to open up this business. And at the time, it gave me a lot of flexibility because I could control my schedule. But then the most important thing was then as I grew, because I did grow, I started adding to the team. And I quickly realized as a leader that what I wanted, I needed to actually, I valued it. And as a value, I needed to attract the right people who also valued that. So since day one, we have been a family-friendly workplace. Our environment is completely flexible, has always been completely flexible. We've taken on kind of a unique perspective of creating core hours and then flexible hours. And then my team kind of comes and goes as they please based on that. And then I'll talk a little bit about kind of how we manage it day to day, throughout the rest of the panel.
Great, thank you. Marisol and Kelsey.
Yeah, so hi everyone. My name is Kelsey Sullivan. I am the benefits specialist for Kendra Scott, and my manager Marisol is on the call as well. Kendra Scott is a jewelry company. We have a little bit over 100 retail stores throughout the US, and then we also have some wholesale and online business as well. For our core values that our company constantly talks about are family, fashion, and philanthropy. Kendra herself has always put a focus on family and putting her family first. It's something that she has always put in practice herself. She always talks about how when she was starting her company, she went door to door to different, businesses in Austin trying to sell her jewelry, and she had her son like in a baby Bjorn strapped to her as she was, doing that. So, kind of she built it with that in mind, and, kind of has the idea that, she doesn't want any of her employees to miss a soccer game or a school play. And if, you're in the middle of a meeting and your child calls, like she's going to take that call and she expects it of everyone else. So that's kind of the foundation of our family-friendly atmosphere. And so that's kind of how it started out, and that's kind of where we keep going back to.
Marisol, I'm sorry, we're having trouble hearing you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Marisol Dona, and I'm the benefits manager over at Kendra Scott. As Kelsey was mentioning, this company has just grown out of a foundation of love for family, the community. And what's been really interesting for me is to see that, I've only been at the company for 6 months, but it is everywhere in the culture of how much of a family-friendly workplace this has been. And so it's been exciting to see the kinds of policies that we have in place, the kinds of people that we have that are recruiting and that are just doing the day-to-day in our warehouses and in our stores, in our home office. And so, yeah, we're excited to be able to share some of the learnings along the way and how we've been able to make it work.
Great, thanks so much. I love that it sounds like from both of your organizations, there's really this solid foundation of being family friendly, and that's really at the forefront of what you do and in terms of your concerns for your employees. So what do you feel like you're currently doing really well to support families? So in terms of, some of the specific programs that you offer. And we can go ahead and start with Kendra Scott.
Yeah, so just to start kind of lifting some off. So the first thing that we do offer parental leave. We offer, if you've been at the company for more than a year, you get 12 weeks fully paid, and we offer this to everyone, mothers, fathers, adopted, non-adopted, foster care, etc. And so, that's been really important to us to make sure that moms have that time. We also offer fertility and adoption assistance. We have a family fund, which offers up to $5,000 in grant money for financial hardship. So anyone in the company can use that, full-time, part-time, even our seasonal employees. And through that program, we've already given employees over $160,000. So for a variety of financial hardships. So that's been really awesome. We also, on top of that, have an employee assistance program. So it's free access to legal, financial, work-life services, counseling sessions, stuff like that. We do also offer flexible work schedules. And I know we might touch on that a little more later, but we have work from home options. Our distribution center does condensed schedules. We have flexible Fridays, so they started off as summer Fridays where you work a half day, and we kind of continued that throughout the year, just to make it so there was at least, you can be flexible throughout the entire week, but at least on Friday, you won't have meetings. You can definitely work from home, and spend that time with your kids, or spend that time getting things done so you can spend the weekend with your kids. We also have a kids room at our home office. We have nursing rooms for mothers that return from maternity leave, both in our home office and our distribution center. And for each of our field stores, we always work with them to figure out the best option for when they come back and they're a nursing mother. And then finally, we also recently started a scholarship program. So we provided 3 scholarships this year, and they're offered to employees, employee children, and employee grandchildren. And so we offered 3, one to someone from our home office, one from our distribution center, and one from our field of stores. So those are just kind of a few things that we offer.
Just a few. That's awesome. So many great programs. Kendra, can you kind of speak more on the side of being a small business and what programs you're able to offer to your employees?
Yeah, absolutely. Because on the small business side, it is a completely different level of cash that we have to play with. And so we don't have the ability to offer all of those benefits, but that's beautiful. I love that you guys are doing that. So really our top benefit is this flexibility. And so again, as I mentioned earlier, people come and go as they please. There is, absolutely no rules around that, except with the exception of that on Thursdays is our day where we are together as a team. So I request and sort of, not really mandate, but we try to really work hard to come together on Thursdays from 9 to 1, where we're all face to face. And then the rest of the time, folks are coming and going as they need with, client meetings and sales meetings and things along those lines. Now, what I also do offer, though, with that flexibility is essentially an unlimited vacation plan for our full-time employees. So as long as goals are being met and the results are there, I am completely, we're fine with people taking as much time as they need. So I have absolutely no concern around, again, the timing of a week, how long someone is on the clock or not on the clock. It's not even something that we measure or even look at. And so that has provided a really unique environment for us, and especially has been a really interesting benefit from a retention as well as a hiring perspective. So we've had absolutely no turnover in the last 4 years from someone just voluntarily leaving. And so, which I think is absolutely amazing, because we don't have the ability to provide all those amazing benefits like, Kendra Scott does. And so, so I just want to encourage you, those of you that are on this webinar, if you're running a smaller business and it feels overwhelming when you hear all of those amazing things that we're competing with the larger businesses, it can be as simple as just providing autonomy and trust and flexibility to your employees. And then again, that, that more unlimited vacation. One of our core values, actually our top core value, is family first. And how that shows up for us is that whenever there is an issue or something that happens that is either a decision between work or family, it's family that comes first, for sure. And I live that every day as the leader. I think that's another important point, is realizing that you as the leader it has to start at the top, and it does then trickle down. If you don't have the buy-in from the leadership team, this is completely not going to work, unfortunately. But with that in mind too, as a mother, I also have been aware of things that, aren't available to most through other employers. So we too have a lactation room. I'm sure it's not as beautiful as yours, but it's nice, and it has a nice glider chair and all of that. And then additionally, we have just a bunch of those family-friendly policies around just supporting our stay-at-home or our new parents. And so, which last year there must have been something in the water, because we had 4 new parents on the team.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it was funny.
We have that going on at our organization right now too. So that sounds great. Sounds like you guys are doing a lot in terms of flexibility. You talked a little bit about paid time off, but wanted to dive a little bit deeper into that, given that it's part of a broader national conversation, and especially right now, a hot topic. So can you tell us just a little bit more about your paid time off policies and how they support workers?
Me?
Yep, we'll start.
Okay. Well, again, it's definitely more informal, because we're a really small business. So in this current situation right now, not much has really changed for us, because we have always been more of a flexibilized workforce. So everyone now is just at home. We only have one person who's actually at the office, because she doesn't really have a workspace at home to work. And so, but we're really encouraging the whole team to just stay away from the office, so that we are really supporting and leading, or sharing in our kind of effort of stopping the spread. So in terms of having to take time off right now, again, I don't care if someone needs to take time off at all. I mean, it just does not matter to me. I want people to take care of their families and do what they need to do right now. And on the flip side of that, I recognize that, this is a business, right? We have to keep the balance of the business and the people. So one of the things that we do along the lines here is we are very clear on our goals, and we do measure against those goals on a weekly basis. And I think that really helps kind of provide the guardrails for the team around that flexibility. So as long as the goals are getting hit, we all know that we're going to continue moving forward as a business. And so perhaps it's not really completely addressing your question there, Katie, but yeah, we don't really have a policy around paid time off or not. People are just taking what they need right now.
No, I think that's good, and definitely an interesting perspective, especially with everything that's going on right now. Kelsey and Marisol, do you have some comments about this?
Yeah, so, for us, paid time off, leaves of absence, all of that stuff is something we're constantly talking about and working, if we can do it better, if we can offer more, it's something that's always, on our minds. As of right now, we do offer just a PTO bank. So it's vacation and sick. It increases in days every few years. So on top of that, we let employees use that, obviously. And then we also offer, if they need a longer term leave of absence, a parental leave, either for their own serious health condition or the serious health condition of someone in their family, we have FMLA and discretionary medical leave that we offer to all employees. Ours, I think, because we're a little bit of a bigger company, we have we have to be a little bit more following some rules and legalities around that. But we do our best, like I said, PTO, and then we do offer leaves of absence to people that need them. And like I said, we offer parental leave to men and women. And then we have like short-term disability, long-term disability, all of that kind of stuff. So, like I said, it's something that we're constantly talking about and, talking about if there's a way that we can do it better, if we can offer more. And so, yeah, it's definitely something that's kind of always on our mind, but that's where we're at right now.
Great, thank you for sharing that. So wanted to address, we hear some concerns from some of the employers that we work with about adding family-friendly benefits. And some of those concerns can be potential costs, a lack of trust in employees, and loss of productivity. Have you faced any of these barriers or challenges with your implementation of family-friendly programming and policy? And yeah, just speak a little bit more to your experience with implementing these. And then Kelsey, we can stay on you.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's a really good question. I think, overall new benefits are generally well received. And I think, like I said before, it really comes from the top. Like Kendra wants everyone to feel successful, both at home and at work. And I think there's some thought that people might try and deprioritize jobs if you tell them that they should put family first, but that really, hasn't been the case. What it requires is that employees just be more efficient at work for the hours that they have to be doing work so that they can, have that time with family. And I think the biggest thing to think about is, happier employees, you're going to have less turnover, as Kendra mentioned, higher engagement. And, if you have a lot of turnover, if you have a lot of people leaving, if you have people that aren't engaged, that's going to be really costly to your organization. So you kind of have to look at that balance. You're putting money into something, but think about what you're getting out of it from your employees. And obviously, like I said, happier employees, more engaged employees are going to do a better job, and it's going to be better for your company. So one example we have of this is when we introduced Summer Fridays last year. That was the first year that we did that on Fridays. We closed the office at noon. And, we kind of did it as a test pilot to see if that would work for the rest of the year. And, it didn't lead to a loss of productivity. Employees were really happy about it. All managers felt really good about it. And so that's why we've continued it, year round and kind of continued to, ease into that even more flexible work environment, because I think as you do those little things, you kind of realize that it does make people happy, and if people are happy, they're going to get their work done, and it's going to be good for your organization.
It's great to see that you have seen an increase in efficiency and productivity around the workplace. Obviously, I think every organization is looking for ways to do that, so that's great. Kendra, what are your thoughts?
I could completely agree with everything that Kelsey said. And I'll just add in a personal story of mine around that too. I worked for IBM before I opened up my business. And at IBM, my last job there, because I'd had my daughter, I did have a part-time job. And I had a wonderful boss that was very supportive. And so she said, how many hours can you work? And at the time, I didn't even have childcare or anything. So I found a nanny, but it was very constrained. She could only give me 17 hours a week. So I told my boss I can work 17 hours a week. And so all of a sudden I had this just really constrained schedule. And what I was amazed by was the amount of work that I got done in that 17 hours, kind of to Kelsey's point. When you are, I think, having to kind of force yourself to get something done in a much faster way, you get a lot done. I mean, I was easily getting as much done as in my 40 to 50 hour work week that I had before my daughter, as I was getting done in that 17 hours. So don't underestimate the power of having a focused workforce. Again, like coming back around to the question of trust, we teach managers and train managers on how to be great managers. And so I have some pretty deep opinions around this. If you have issues with trust on your team, you have bigger issues than dealing with a family-friendly workplace. You should not have issues with trust on your team. There are fundamental things missing from your organization if that's the case. And that needs to be addressed first, because I work with thousands of individuals on a yearly basis. And I find the population most people to be very good workers. They want to do good work. And when they are in a situation where they're not trusted or they don't feel they're trusted, it generally comes down to the leader not setting clear goals and not being succinct about that, not measuring to it, and then being hypocritical at certain points in the process. And so it's a leadership problem if there's trust issues. It's not something with your employees for the most part. I mean, there are exceptions to that, but they're rare. And I mean, I'm a very critical person when it comes to people. So don't think that I'm just coming about from this perspective of Pollyanna, everybody's awesome and great. I'm very critical about people. And I still, to this date, have never met someone that I didn't believe in once I got to know them. I mean, everyone has a gift to give this world, and it's our job as the leaders to pull it out of them. So yeah, trust is a big thing for me.
Great. Thank you so much for speaking about that culture of trust in the workplace, and especially as a leader, the impact that you can have by trusting your employees and other managers. We're going to go ahead and transition to the Q&A portion. So we've had some questions already come in, but if you do have some questions, please feel free to utilize that, and we'll try to get as many questions answered as we can. Okay, first question I'm seeing is, can Kendra elaborate more on the core hours versus flex hours she mentioned in the beginning? What does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So typically a work environment is, let's say, 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. Flip that on its head and say, no, we're going to have core hours where everyone needs to be here, maybe between, like, let's say 9 and 2 or 10 and 2, or in our case, it's Thursdays from 9 to 1. It's your core hours where you expect and want everyone to commit to being there in the workplace or commit to being online during that time and available. And then the flexible hours are outside of that. You're still going to want people to get their sort of quote unquote 40 hours a week in, or you're expecting that if you're paying them for that. But the way that they go about doing the flexible hours is up to their discretion. So some people are morning people and they want to get it done between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. Other people are night people. Or maybe you're like me, you're both, which means I'm tired. But you get work done at night and you get work done in the morning, and so who cares when it gets done? So that is kind of the idea of flexible hours or core hours versus flexible hours. It doesn't work in every environment. Manufacturing, it's different. In retail situations, that's different. But there's a lot of different ways to address this, and we've worked with a lot of different companies to come up with really creative ways to put that flexibility into their schedules. Sometimes it's limiting the territory of a team or limiting the scope of a project so that there truly is that flexibility.
Awesome, thank you for that. Another great question that came in that I would like all of you to answer if possible. So something we encounter at my organization is that some policies are more supportive of individuals with children, but staff who are single or partnered but don't have children, whether by choice or not, don't feel like they have policies to support work-life balance. How do you ensure that these policies support those with and without children? Whoever wants to jump in can go ahead.
I'm just going to mention before we turn over our panelists, this is actually when we've done family-friendly presentations for the past 5 years, this is one of the first questions that has come up to us, is making sure that single childless employees are not left out of the family-friendly conversation. So our take is, try and understand what caregiving needs are. Supporting employees in their community is really important through building a community. But this comes up in nearly every family-friendly presentation, so really appreciate the question. If Kendra or maybe Kelsey, if you want to take a stab at how single childless employees can feel supported in a family-friendly environment.
Yeah, so this is another thing that we have talked about. I think our focus for, a really long time, and as it still is, we have a lot of focus on working mothers in particular. I think that's kind of where we put a lot of time and energy and thought around how we can support a working mother. And so this is definitely something that has come up. We've definitely had people, ask about it, and we want to make sure that we're putting practices in place that kind of benefit everyone. So, aside from some of those that are, specifically geared towards, being a parent, we try and offer, with our flexible work schedules, I talked about how it can benefit, mothers with children, but, we really try and have it benefit everyone. And we really encourage people to, disconnect from work and focus on their hobbies. Basically all of that flexibility, we kind of, we want everyone to be engaged in that, not just the parents. And even for like the leave of absence to care for a family member, that can be like a parent or a sibling. And so, we do try and acknowledge that there are other types of caregivers. And then if someone, isn't a caregiver at all, we do try and do things like we have a bereavement leave where we allow people, to go on bereavement for, and pretty much anybody in their life, including their pets, if their pet dies and they need to take a couple of days off. So, I think it's definitely for us something that is always, on the forefront of our minds and something we're thinking about kind of as we go forward. Another thing we do frequently are engagement surveys. We do at least one a year, and then we've had some other benefit surveys as well. So we, are kind of constantly keeping a pulse on what our employees want and what they need. And we definitely take that into consideration when we're making any type of change to the organization or considering bringing in, some new benefits. We definitely look at that and make sure that, everyone's opinions and ideas and needs are being taken into account.
Yeah, and I think it is a really big challenge. And so, I will say that over the years, I've definitely struggled with this. I have a couple folks on my team that don't have children, and I sometimes do feel the inequity that happens there. So let me address this more from the small business perspective. One thing that is pretty important to us, and I think it's important to really being successful with the alignment of your employees, is being very clear on your values. Well, I mentioned earlier, one of our values, our first value is family first. Our second value is get results. Those are kind of incongruent with each other. But what we do when we're in an interview setting is, we're very clear around what it means to be family first in our company, why we are that way. And then what does it mean to get results as well? And we are interviewing for people that align with those values, because you ultimately want to hire, fire, manage, train, govern, promote, compensate against those values. And especially a small business, because you really can't afford to have anyone on the team that isn't just running on, full. And so, for us, that value is really important. And so I have definitely had people opt out in an interview setting because they don't really want or need that family-friendly environment right now. Whereas the other folks that get folks on my team that don't have children, they have seen the value of it, and that they're not having to be there at 8 a.m. and then leave at 5. They come and go as they please. They want that flexibility. They want to go to a meeting or go to have coffee with someone or get their hair cut in the middle of the day. I don't care. Great, go take care of it. Do whatever you need to do. And so that's where they're kind of feeling that flexibility and that sort of, that benefit for them, even though they don't need to race home after 3 o'clock to be there at the bus stop. But I'm very clear as the leader too, not working hard to not take advantage of the fact that they don't have quite that, the sort of pull on both sides. Right now is definitely a challenging time. We are leaning on our folks that don't have kids at home, that we're feeling like we almost have to tie up to get them to leave us alone during the day. Just kidding, I don't do that. But they're definitely on a lot of screens right now. So it is challenging.
All right, thank you both. Kelsey, there was a follow-up question to you. How do you convey to higher management the needs of your employees? Are these requests preemptive or employee-driven?
So a little bit of both. Like I said, we do surveys, and our executive leadership team, including Kendra, all look at the results of that. So they're very heavily involved in the types of benefits that we offer, and everything kind of related to that. I would also say we do try, and every manager is going to be a little bit different, but we do try and make a point to kind of empower the managers to have one-on-ones weekly with their employees and really talk about work, but also talk about personal stuff, what challenges they're having at home, all of everything, and we kind of try and keep it holistic, and the idea kind of behind that is to make sure that we're really, managers especially, are really in touch with their employees and what they're needing and what their struggles are, so that they can then take that to the leadership team, and changes can be made from there. Because we definitely take into consideration if there's things that keep coming up. Our leadership team especially, focuses on that, is always asking what can we do to make that better for people.
And I think what we heard from both Kelsey there in terms of Kendra Scott and also Kendra's Turning the Corner small business is this idea of trust and listening being so important to address the needs of employees. So it is a two-way conversation, but the importance there and the onus of responsibility is on leaders that are willing to listen and trust and send those surveys out and actually be able to respond to them.
All right, yes, thank you so much. So unfortunately, we have run out of time for the Q&A section. I know there were a few questions we didn't get to. My email should be available to everyone who's a participant here. So if you do have those questions and want to follow up with me, I'm happy to take those for you or pass them on for you. Also, I'll be following up with you all via email soon, so you can just reply to that. Wanted to very quickly just wrap things up here. All right. I know I talked a little bit about HealthLinks earlier, but just wanted to go into a little bit more detail with you all. So this is our website, healthlinkcertified.org, if you wanted to go visit that and kind of poke around and see. Again, we're a mentoring program. We provide assessment, a healthy workplace certification, and advising. And we are standing by right now because we know that there are many challenges that you all are facing, and we are more than happy to help you with those. So we would love to have you in our network. Something that we also offer is a family-friendly module. So our modules include a survey, a toolkit, and then a specific advising session on this topic. So you would be meeting directly with David to talk about your organization's family-friendly workplace practices and seeing where you can make any improvements. So just really quick, wanted to share this.
Have you taken the assessment? If you haven't taken the assessment, well, I don't even know what to tell you.
We decided to take the family-friendly assessment because we wanted to see if we were on board or on the right track for being a family-friendly workplace.
I mean, the assessment is so foundational and so important because not only will it set a benchmark for your organization, your company, but also going through the assessment is an educational process.
We learned that we are doing amazing in the areas of benefits and flexibility, but then we also learned that there were areas that we could improve on, which was our communication.
All right. Well, I also just wanted to mention, as David spoke about at the beginning, that we are going to be offering town hall meetings to discuss supporting parents during this period of COVID-19. So please join us for that. We are teaming up with Helper, who is a family support technology company. And in this version on Monday, March 23rd, we will be discussing what parents need to know about coronavirus, including CDC recommendations, productivity practices when working from home with children, configuring backup care when you're working from home, and tips for supporting and engaging positive home life with activities. And this will be set up as a Zoom meeting instead of a Zoom webinar, so there will be more opportunities for collaboration, questions, things like that. So we would love for you to tune into that if you're kind of struggling to navigate this time period, like I feel we all are. Lastly, just wanted to leave you with this slide about getting started and some tips. I won't go through all of them, but you can read them or take a picture of this. Just wanted to remind you that I will be sending out that follow-up email later this week. That will include a tip sheet for you on how to be a more family-friendly workplace, as well as information on how to claim your CHES or SHRM credits, a link to register for the town hall if you're interested in attending that, and a link to the YouTube recording of this webinar as well in case you want to go back and watch or share with your colleagues. So thank you so much again for attending. Again, we really appreciate it given everything that's going on right now and all of the chaos, and we are here to help if you have any questions. Again, you will receive a survey. The link will pop up as soon as you exit this webinar, so please take a minute to complete that. It's very short, but we use this to make improvements to our webinar series, so we would love to hear from you. Thanks so much.